Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Beat Podcast, recorded live here in Las Vegas, Venetian for the Health Conference. I'm excited to be with Heather Gray today. She is the Senior Vice President and General Manager of Real World Data, Clinical Trials, and Registry at Omega Healthcare. Such a pleasure to be with you today, Heather.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
So how's the conference going for you?
It's amazing. I am really energized by the level of excitement over AI. And actually, I feel like healthcare is starting to get AI a little bit more.
It feels that way.
Yeah, it's not such a scary type of topic, but also we're understanding how to use it to our advantage, which is phenomenal.
It is phenomenal. So tell us a little bit more about Omega Healthcare's Curate IQ offering.
Yeah, so if you're involved in healthcare research or drug development or health tech, the gap between I have a lot of data and I have a lot of usable data is pretty huge. So Curate IQ was built as a curation platform to take raw, unusable, messy data and transform it into a data set that could be used to glean rich insights out of. So the idea is that everything we do at Omega Curate IQ is 95% or greater accuracy. And we have a very large team of physicians and nurses and oncology specialists who do this work. And basically, we create insights and we create data that allows drug development to move faster, that allows clinical trials to stay on schedule, and really just takes that complex oncology data and turns it into something that people can use for a variety of different reasons. We also don't keep rights to or copies of any data that we touch. And so that's just a really important point. Like, we're not out here data hoarding. We're not doing this to try to market somebody else's data and sell somebody else's data. This is purely us coming in, cleaning the data for whatever your purpose might be. Because honestly, like, clean, usable data is not the norm in oncology, and it should be.
Love it. And is the main focus oncology for you guys with this?
It is. We started in oncology about 14 years ago, but we do have experience outside of oncology. So we work in mental health, we work in cardiac, we work in immunology, we've worked in a lot of different neuroscience areas. And so we do have experience outside of oncology. We were born out of an oncology center. And so that's the reason why we have that focus.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. That's our roots. But we've hired staff that are not oncology focused for that reason.
Got it. Cool. Thanks for helping us understand that. And so what are some of the top challenges you're helping the healthcare ecosystem address?
Yeah, so we're really tackling some of those hard operational challenges that hold healthcare back. Really looking at how trials get run, how evidence is generated. Trials fail all the time. Clinical trials fail all the time. And it's not because of the science. It's because of the operations. It's lack of site availability. It's inconsistent data. It's missed timelines. Those are the sorts of reasons that clinical trials are delayed and that innovative treatments are not on market as fast as they could be. And so what we do is we provide the curation, abstraction, and QA to keep research, whether it's clinical trial research, whether it's in hospital research, whether it's translational research, preclinical, to keep all of that on track and to keep that moving. And so we really ensure that the data is FDA quality. That's important to us, and anything that we generate is FDA-grade. And we also do a lot of work in the registry area. So keeping health systems on target with their timelines, making them compliant, making sure that nobody is yes, exactly, falling onto that bad list, but really not only just keeping them compliant and on time, but making sure that it's done the right way. Whether it's cleaning up the data for fueling AI, annotation of AI, training AI models, whether we're streamlining trial operations, helping health systems meet regulatory demands. That's really, we can take any type of data chaos and turn that into clarity. And that's our mission.
I think that's brilliant. And it's interesting to hear from you that the reason for failure is not necessarily the molecule or the therapy, but it's the breakpoints of the process.
It is. It's the operations. It's the clinical operations. It's the lack of data being entered into a system, which seems just like such an easy task, right? It's just a human being taking data from an EHR and entering it into an EDC. And then that data is used to inform the next point of the trial, the next decision of the trial, or to make a pivot during the trial even. And when that's not done in a timely fashion or accurately, we end up with delays in clinical trials.
And then there's the recruitment piece that you touched on.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's another area.
Yeah, absolutely. Your sites need to be compliant. Your sites need to be really like paying attention to the patients that flow through. If you see a certain number of patients per day and you have 150 clinical trials, they're not on your mind for every patient that flows through your office that day. And so really setting up a system for sites to be able to have somebody that's truly focusing on what's coming into the site and where they might be able to find patients is important.
That's great, Heather. How much of this would you say is education, right? Like for the provider, but also for the patient?
I think, and for pharma.
And for pharma?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's
Thanks for adding that.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I think there's a piece of education there for all three.
Yeah.
I think that many patients are not aware that there is even a clinical trial available out there. Yeah, 88% of health systems do not offer clinical trials, and so patients may not even be aware.
Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think it's infrastructure. I think it's this type of operations. It's the work that needs to be done behind the scenes to keep a trial. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What a mess.
Yeah, it is a mess. It is a mess. And I think that the patient education part of that, of understanding that a clinical trial is available, there's also that same thing on the health system side. How to run a trial, what to do to be a part of research for the physician, for the health system. And so we need to be educating both. But then I think we also really need to be educating pharma on the options that are out there to help with the operations. Pharma's inundated. They're the pockets. They're inundated every day with vendors that want to sell them something and take their money. And I think that there's just they've gone deaf to the pitches, and it's very understandable. Yeah. And so there does need to be some pharma education on like truly what would be helpful in each stage of a clinical trial. And Omega doesn't offer all of that. And so this isn't a pitch for Omega. This is just a clinical trial observation in general. Yes, absolutely.
Wow. Super insightful, Heather. And so what is unique about Omega Healthcare, specifically Curate IQ, when it comes to integration of clinical resources and technologies such as AI?
Yeah. What's really unique about what we do is that we blend people and we blend process and technology. So remember I said we were born out of a cancer center and we were born manually. So we were born as this like manual curation service. And we've been able to add in the AI in the way that it can be added where we're not sacrificing anything because we have the army of people already doing the work. Right. So we don't believe that AI replaces clinical expertise. We believe it amplifies it. And so our team of clinical experts is able to continue to monitor and QA and keep us at 95% or greater accuracy. And I think the other part is that we're not just using AI, we're actually feeding it. The data that we put out for our clients is used to train AI models and is used to feed AI in really every situation. No matter what it's actually being used for, It is being used for AI in the back end of some system at their health system. And so, by curating high quality data, we're a part of that AI ecosystem. Mm-hmm. So we're users and we're enablers of the AI, which is amazing and a great spot to be. But I think we don't treat AI as just this black box. We treat it as a clinical collaboration between humans and technology. And we really do empower our clinicians to be a part of the AI building and balance that like trust and evidence generation and human piece of what is necessary in healthcare along with the technology.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating and definitely unique. As if you think about an example, I'm a big fan of examples of before and after. Is there anything that comes to mind that you want to share as before using us and after using us?
Yeah, we definitely have seen some pretty big impacts of using the Omega Curate IQ system. We had a health system that was about 10 years behind on their data entry, and we cleaned all that up. All of that data was a mess. It was unstructured notes that, if you think about it, you can't just query and pull up what every piece of that would be. So I'll give you an example. If you say PSA, or you say tested for prostate cancer, or you say prostate specific antigen, that's all the same thing, but it doesn't sound like the same thing or look like the same thing in a physician's note, right? And so we were able to take that 10 years worth of data, clean it up in about 6 months, and put the health system back on track for research.
In 6 months?
6 months. Yeah, that's what I mean when I say we have an army of people. They are out there working for the good. It's phenomenal what they're doing.
That's great. And think about the stats still with me that you shared. Was it 88%?
Yeah, 88% of health systems or healthcare provider systems don't offer clinical trials.
And that doesn't have to be the case.
That does not have to be the case. Yes, that does not. I'll give you another stat. 89% of patients are treated at a community health center. Only 3% of clinical trials are run at a community health center.
Wow.
So that just tells you how the access is. We are essentially running clinical trials on the same people over and over again. And it's the same people that live within these certain areas and these certain geographies.
And large urban academic medical center.
Yep. That's right. That's right.
Wow. How do we get the word out on this? Obviously, this is one way, but how else?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a little off my Omega topic, just to be honest with you. But I think nonprofits play a huge part in this. And I think there's a big push for diversity in clinical trials and heterogeneity, and really looking at the science behind how a molecule affects different ethnicities is more and more important. We can't keep putting drugs on the market that we've only tested in one population. We have to start making sure that drugs work and that they're safe for everybody. And the only way to do that is to get trials out into the communities. And so working with nonprofits and working with mission-driven organizations that are willing to implement solutions like the Omega Curate IQ clinical trial capabilities and other solutions that are out there that can help enable community sites to run trials, that's just of the utmost importance right now.
Thank you for that, Heather. Definitely the community organizations are a key part of this. And so, folks, for you listening, there's always opportunities to connect the dots to help some of this technology reach the right pockets of providers and education overall, right? All the stakeholders that you mentioned, Heather, providers, patients, and pharma.
Yeah.
To get to the end goal together.
Absolutely. That's right.
Heather, where can people reach out to you if they want to learn more?
Yeah, so I would love to hear from you at heather.grey@omegahms.com. Or you can also find me on LinkedIn, Heather Gray. I always like to spell it because gray is, I also like the sweatpants. Heather Gray, like the sweatpants. Or you can also find me on the website, the Omega website, and you can find me there and reach me there.
Brilliant. Yeah, we'll make sure to link all of that up, folks, in the show notes of today's episode. There you'll find a summary of our discussion with Heather Gray. She's the Senior Vice President and General Manager of Real World Data, Clinical Trials, and Registry for Omega Healthcare. Take action now, and let's get more access to people on these types of trials that'll make a difference. And Omega could be your potential partner to get there faster. Heather, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure.